I can't hear you, by the way. I can't hear you.
All right, we're just getting started here. What do we need to do to get volume up on Erica and Connie?
Oh, got it. I can hear you.
And there we are.
Hello.
Hello and welcome.
Thank you.
I do have to tell you, you're up against some stiff competition. The morning was fantastic. And we said at our outset, Eric and I, that the day was going to be exciting and terrifying. And so far that's turned out to be a little true, although mostly not. With that, let me start by introducing Connie Kennedy. Connie is a lifelong filmmaker, production manager. She's been in film business since I think you were about 6 years old. And done extraordinary travel, and her list of credits are beyond reproach. And she is now at Epic and leading the studio in LA. And with that, you know, Eric and I talked, and we just decided the first thing we really needed to do is just have you explain what Unreal Engine is.
Well, first of all, hello, everyone. It's great to be here. Thanks, Stephen and Erica. The Unreal Engine is quite a magical set of tools. For any of you who have not had the opportunity to use the engine, just a quick overview is that, as you probably know already, it's tools that are used for gaming. However, recently we've been using the tools with virtual production. And I think all of you have seen that with the TV series, The Mandalorian. And that has truly revolutionized our ability to put all of the experience of filmmaking into real time. We're able to make decisions in real time regarding lighting, animation, compositing of different visual effects elements in real time, so that the director, the cinematographer, and all the people that used to have to wait to do their work in post-production are able to instead be collaborative on the stage, on the day, and create an entire film together in real time, as opposed to waiting for these things over months and sometimes years to complete a project. So the engine is a set of tools that provides that opportunity.
So, Erica, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'll say The Mandalorian is one of the shows that got me through this pandemic. I'm such a fan. And so, yes, let's talk about how the Unreal Engine really powered and was used to make The Mandalorian. I know we have a clip, so maybe we want to show it while Connie, you talk us through what's going on.
All right, let's take a look.
Let's do that.
I'm getting it. Stand by.
So just to start, the Mandalorian is now in its third season. The first season, which was a couple of years ago, we were just beginning to work with ILM and Epic to put together all of the tools that were required in order to be able to shoot with an LED screen and to be able to display the imagery onto that screen and film live action in front of the screen. And all of that requires bringing together various types of technologies that have been used in virtual production in the past, such as motion capture for tracking the camera, and also bringing together the composited visual effects elements that give you the entire virtual display of all elements together in real time. This gives as you can see, everyone is standing in front of the screen there, but they're also standing on a physical set. So one of the tricks is to blend that physical set with the virtual environment so that you can see that it's a seamless transition. any of the terrain, the dirt, the set pieces with rocks, all of that needs to be constructed during the early stages of prep for the film so that everything is seamless. The color is seamless. The line where the difference between the physical and virtual set is seamless. And the overall concept is to be able to blend this together so that you can't tell the difference between the virtual and physical environments. So you can see here where the camera dolly is moving forward, that is the physical set. And you probably can't really see the difference between that and the virtual set in the background. And that's something that, of course, looks like it takes nothing. But really what's happened is that for months in prep, the designer and everyone in what's called the virtual art department has worked together to create these assets so that they will work together with what's being developed as content, virtual content that is being displayed on the wall. And that display is also a complicated process that we refer to as end display, where each of the processors that are processing the visual elements onto the screen, they all have to work seamlessly. They all have to be projecting the imagery onto the screen so that that looks like one backdrop with no seams and no problems like moire, which is kind of a fuzzy exterior around each of these displays. So all of that has to be prepared in advance, probably 3 to 4 months in advance prior to coming onto the stage. The Unreal Engine Epic has been developing tools which are constantly being improved to make this process as seamless as possible and as easy to use as possible. However, as you can imagine, it's still taking time for people to learn all of the features in such a way that they can bring in talent who can focus on areas of content and also the video engineering component. The team that was on The Mandalorian was probably about 60 core people. It's not much different than a physical set when you walk onto the stage, but most of the people that are on that stage are people who come from a visual effects background. And there's still a physical component where we have grips and electrics and people that you would recognize from a physical production. But we've now brought all of the people that are traditionally part of the post process into the production process.
Is the word that comes up when I look at this change in process, is the key word collaboration?
Yes, absolutely. I think the exciting thing about this is that the people who have traditionally been working in post-production was separated from the collaborative process in the sense that their work was after the movie was shot. And the people that were doing previs and prep before we came into production, those people were also separate and distinctive. Now everyone is working together in real time. And what that means is that the prep that we're doing in advance of production is crucial. That's when we're bringing everyone together to do look development. We're experimenting using virtual location scouting, where we're basically setting up the entire pipeline in advance of getting onto the stage. It's important to be able to do that. This stage is a complex and expensive setup, and you want to be able to get to that stage knowing exactly what you want to do. It's it's another sandbox, but it's an expensive sandbox, and one where everyone needs to have an eye towards what kind of time it's taking to create the components of the project, and whether or not most of those decisions can be made in advance of walking onto the stage.
Thanks, Connie. Yes, super fascinating. Maybe let's take a moment to break down that really expensive, incredible set that we just saw in the video. So I guess to break down virtual production, I think what we saw is a 75-foot diameter LED wall screen along with a ceiling. Is that right?
Yes, with the Mandalorian, with what you just saw, that LED wall is about 2,000 separate LED panels that are all connected together. When the image is displayed onto those panels, it looks like one seamless image. The reason for the curvature of the wall is mainly to do with lighting. And this is what's so exciting, and what is one of the things that distinguishes it from just using a green screen, is that you're able to use the lighting that is reflected off of the wall. And that is also being created in engine on the computer. So what's exciting is that you can make those iterative changes, and they can be reflected and part of your production experience. So a DP can stand on the stage and change any of the lights in the computer, and they will be seen on the stage simultaneously. And with the Mandalorian, as you can imagine, with the helmet and the reflections, it's important to get all of that correct. The ceiling can be used as part of the visuals, but in this case, it was mostly used as part of the reflections.
Yes, we've heard so much from production folks that lighting is such a crucial, variable. So the ability to shoot something like a 10-hour dawn or a 10-hour sunset, I hear is super game changing. So yeah, that's really cool.
That's what's exciting, is you can dial in a look, you can dial in the time of the day. And normally on a location, you would have maybe 20 to 30 minutes to be able to shoot that. And sometimes you would wait all day to get that shot.
Talk a little bit about, I'm sorry, finish your thought.
Oh, sure. I was just going to say that now you can dial in that look, and you can shoot with a magic hour for 2 weeks.
Talk about COVID. COVID was a huge challenge for the film production business. There was lots of issues of safety and issues of masking and testing. How did the stage? Did COVID accelerate the move toward the stage?
I think that the stage was using an LED stage was something that ILM in particular and Epic have been working to develop technology for that type of production for some time before the pandemic. I think for all kinds of reasons, it's taken a while for it to be adopted. Mostly that I think people are transitioning their skills from traditional post-production to working in production. And so that's been taking some time. But I think what was really exciting is that during the pandemic, I think people realized that all of a sudden it was possible to work remotely and to collaborate remotely, and that there was even more reason to accelerate the adoption of this type of technology for that purpose. And I think it's given us all time to reflect on this as well and realize that there are all kinds of positive outcomes from being able to work remotely, especially with respect to broader issues like inclusion and the opportunity for people who may not have otherwise been able to be a part of this type of work or even thought of doing this kind of work. So I think it's opened all kinds of doors for people as a result.
Oh no.
I think we may have lost.
Yes, Steve, I can't hear you. Hold on. Your sound.
I muted myself because I coughed for a moment. I have friends who are actors, and they will tell you confidentially, not to be repeated, that acting in front of a green screen was extraordinarily difficult.
I think a green screen is difficult. I think when you have to imagine everything in your mind instead of seeing any kind of representation virtually of who or what you're acting with is very disconcerting. And it's difficult to have a natural, authentic kind of acting experience with that. And I have to say personally, working on with a green screen stage all day long is you almost feel a little seasick at the end of the day. So I think that the opportunity to be able to see these visuals at the time that you're acting and to be able, I have to say though, it's not, when you're working on an LED production stage, it's not a virtual reality experience in that respect. I think sometimes that gets confused. The lens of the camera is very important to the way in which this is finally rendered in camera, and that's something that you still see on a monitor. The stage itself is used to extend sets and to display the world. But the lens of the camera is that's what the final render really is inside the lens of the camera. And choosing what lens that is crucial. But an actor is still able to see the environment, still able to look up in the sky and see an object and focus in the right manner. It's not a tennis ball on the end of a stick. And there's, and also we're able to layer in animation. And it's getting better and better all the time. And we're getting closer and closer to having every single virtual element that would make for a final rendered pixel. So I'm excited about what's coming in the next few years.
Go ahead.
All right. I think we want to talk a little bit about access. So a lot of people in our audience are really excited about how this is going to open up opportunities to tell their stories and be creators and, really showcase their work in a really new way. How can emerging creators access the tools that you've created? Are there ways, if you don't have access to, the 75-foot LED screen, what can you do? Or will you be opening up spaces for people to use screens like that? How can we get our community using Unreal? Well,
I think the first thing is that that Unreal is free to anyone who would like to try, which is wonderful. And I think if you go to the Epic website, you'll find that we've got a lot of educational opportunities there, whether you are a beginner or you want to keep moving along and learning more and more of the features of the engine. We have classes that are available. We have a fellowship that we almost a year into, we've had 4 different courses. We have all kinds of introductory classes, videos, and as a corporation or educational institution, we're able to set up customized learning opportunities. So we're very interested in helping people to learn how to use the engine, and it's an open source. So everything that the users bring to the engine is developed as part of the code itself. So that's what's really exciting, is that we're building this together. We're all making it better. I also think that the people, as you get into this and you start to understand what the engine is being used for, you'll realize that we've applied this technology to so many different things beyond just television and film. If you look at what's happening with architecture and automotive and all kinds of other verticals, it's really exciting what this is being applied to, because the visuals are so extraordinarily good. And I think as a user, if you want to experiment and try to learn some of the things that are associated with the big films like a TV series like The Mandalorian, is that you can still do this to a certain extent by just setting up monitors and learning the basic principles and creating even miniature representations, or using something like rear projection instead of a large LED screen, and accomplishing the same kind of effect while at the same time learning the basic principles of this. And then if you have the opportunity to apply to work with a production as large as something like The Mandalorian, then you're able to put the same practices into a production and move into television and film production on that level. There's no reason why you can't start with what you've got.
So you shared with us a reel of some student work that I just found jaw-dropping. I'd love to just play a little of that, and we can just talk about some of those student projects.
Okay. So I think what you'll notice here is that the quality of the visuals is really professional, and something that I think is available to everyone who wants it. This is something that we work hard to make accessible to anyone who's interested. And you can, if you go onto the Epic store, you will be able to see that many of these are available to anyone who would like to use them as part of their project. And I think what you can see also from these visuals is that this is a mix of uses, whether it's being used for a game or used as part of a commercial, used as a short film. The world is open to you. This is the thing about the game engine, is that the accessibility of these tools is making it possible for people to produce an amazing array of different types of projects that can be used for all different types of purposes.
I find that mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm. It's exciting.
Do you have a sense of how many students are working on the engine? I mean, is it hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands, or hard to say?
I would say it's tens of thousands, because our reach is around the world. And we're working hard to come up with as many different types of virtualized educational opportunities, because I think that's the best way for us to be able to get these tools into the hands of as many users as possible. We do find that with virtual production, there is a need for some hands-on training, of course, but I think we're coming up with ways where we can do that even though people are in different parts of the world. So we're starting to explore ways in which we can demonstrate the use of these tools on a stage and work with people who are at home, who want to learn how to do this, who may not have access to a stage immediately, but can try various types of methodologies at home. And then later, when they have the opportunity to be on a stage, they can apply it there. And we've also got some schools who have been approaching us about setting up small volumes at their location. And then we've been helping them to set up a curriculum that would help move that project forward.
Okay, so we have a couple of audience members who've raised their hand, and we want to give them a chance. I do have one more question. I know you get asked this a zillion times a day, but I know it would be, I'd be held responsible as a journalist if I didn't ask the question.
Okay.
Does the engine, like when we're done, will the net result be that jobs in the film business there will be less jobs?
Oh, I think it's quite the opposite. I think this is just exponentially opened up all kinds of new opportunities for people. I think because our experience with entertainment is becoming more interactive, I think the experience of watching a movie is only going to be the first step. I think the future is that you will go away from the theater and you will then put yourself in the movie, and then you will change the outcome of the movie, and you will be able to have an interactive relationship with that media. I think that's what the engine is really going to offer people in the future, is a more interactive experience.
All right, we've got some questions. Troy, do you want to go ahead and turn your camera on and we'll bring you up? Troy, you there?
Hello.
All right. Oh, Tracy, my apologies. Tracy. Tracy, do you have a question? The font is very small.
Hi. Sorry about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wondered what the view is of how Epic is going to make money out of the tens and thousands of folks that are either no or low cost users of the tool set.
I think it's an interesting question, and I understand why you would wonder about that. Our intention is to try and help people adopt the engine as pervasively as possible. And then the main way in which we would monetize that is to provide the kind of support that people would need going forward as you take on more complex projects or group projects such as a film, TV. Then we have a licensing program. We also have support packages. So that's essentially how it's monetized. But certainly the initial educational process, we're not expecting to pull in revenue for that. The idea is to help you get going as quickly and effectively as you possibly can.
Eric, you're next. Turn on your camera.
I don't have a camera. I'm on a desktop computer.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there are two questions. One just got answered. What computer languages are needed to work with Unreal? And does Unreal interact with WebXR, in particular, say, with Babylon or A-frame languages on WebXR?
You know, I'm not sure about WebXR. I do know that the engine is very versatile, and it's something that if you have questions about that, I would be happy to point you to people who could help.
What languages do you need to use Unreal?
What
computer languages does Unreal support to develop?
There's a variety of different computer languages. What ones are you thinking of in particular?
Does it require C++? Can you use C#?
Yes.
You know what? We'll get you connected up, and we'll get these questions answered. You've exceeded my geek capacity. I do not know languages. All right. I want to talk about. Well, I mean, here's the other big. Epic has been rolling things out so fast, it almost might have gotten lost in all of the various innovation. But let's talk for a minute about Metahuman. And I will say this: I'm not going to play a video now, but for those of you who have not gone on YouTube and typed in Metahuman, one word, you should, because it is mind-blowing and exciting, and which seems to be the theory of the Temo of our day, a little terrifying. Like, it feels like as close to the singularity as any other event I've ever seen.
The Metahuman project is really exciting, and it's something that Epic recently, I'm not sure if you're aware, but they recently acquired a company called 3Lateral out of Serbia, and also Cubic Motion. Both companies have been working on this technology for a number of years, and most recently they rolled out their latest changes and new technology that they've been working on. We will probably in the next year or so see phenomenal new changes with this facial capture and body capture technology. I think what is happening is that we're moving very quickly towards a way in which we can capture using scanning technology, where we can capture every single aspect of the face and body, all those things that are what we would probably call subliminal, motion that you don't necessarily see, but when you don't see it, it doesn't look right. And I think that's what's plagued us in the past with the uncanny valley. And I think those things are being resolved now with this very precise and exciting new way of scanning. I'm just recently, we've started to build a new space in Los Angeles where we hope to have 3Lateral working, and they're setting up other facilities in other parts of the world. And I think over the next year, we're going to see all kinds of changes. When you say, Stephen, that you're a little scared about it, I think I understand what you're saying, but I think what we need to recognize is this isn't necessarily designed to replace actors. This is something that is designed to augment what we can do with real actors. This is something that will add to our ability to create all kinds of different worlds and different stories. So I don't really look at it as something that would replace characters necessarily.
Just to be clear, your work in Augmented Humanity, I don't find scary. I do the thing where I jump ahead and go, my phone buzzes, it's XYZ telephone company calling to talk to me about a new product. There's a very nice person that's talking to me, and I can't distinguish between whether it's a real person or a metahuman. And that's, when you put together the things that the Media Lab does, which is, AR, VR, machine learning, voice recognition, like you could see these things coming together.
Yeah.
Which is exciting and terrifying.
Yeah, there are, obviously it's the way in which all of us use this technology that will maintain its humanity. And I think that's outside of entertainment, I can see that there are some things that might be unnerving about this technology, but I think certainly in the context of entertainment, it's really exciting.
Talk about the culture of the place for a minute. I always assumed that the company was in LA, in part because you're in LA, although we're all virtual. But the company talk a little bit about the CEO, the founder, and North Carolina.
Yeah, the exciting thing about Epic is that we're everywhere. We're in just about every country, and we've started to put together labs. So we have about 5 different labs throughout the world, and then we have offices scattered throughout. And Tim Sweeney, of course, is the founder, and Tim chose to set up the headquarters in North Carolina. The headquarters is located just outside of Raleigh. It's really technically in Cary, and we're also expanding into a new facility that's nearby soon. And I think when I've gone to Cary to see the headquarters, it makes sense. It's kind of nice, actually, when I think about it, that it's not directly associated with just film and television and all that goes with Hollywood, but that it's associated with so many other things that the game engine is being used for. So I think the location for the headquarters is in a little bit more of a neutral place in that respect, and I think it's relevant to the fact that we're connected with so many different types of industry.
That actually aligns exactly with one of the topics we wanted to ask you, which was around sort of the longer term vision for Unreal and how you see game engines really transforming so much more than just the traditional media and entertainment landscape. We think, I'll just pick up a couple points that you mentioned, the fact that this is an open source tool, that you're really looking at sort of tapping into creators from both partnering with, major studios, as well as building out these student challenges that are global and that are really supporting emerging creators is really incredible, and I think really exciting, and I think a really interesting business model. I just want to sort of take a moment and sort of recognize that and sort of highlight that again. So I guess the question could be, beyond filmmaking, you mentioned the various industries, but what do you see next for the Unreal Engine and the Epic team? You mentioned these studios that are opening up outside of LA. We talked about the fact that your founder is, not a traditional Silicon Valley or an LA person. What are you most excited about for 2021 or 2022 even?
I think what I'm most excited about is that the Unreal Engine is something that is, I think we're breaking down the mythology of this tech being only for people that are of a certain type. Mm-hmm. I think really the engine is becoming increasingly accessible to anyone. Anyone can decide that they want to go online, try it out, mm-hmm. see what it's all about. And they have access to all kinds of different educational opportunities to begin to use it and create different things that you might not even think of right now. I mean, this is technology where you can leverage the tools towards all kinds of different types of uses. Whether you are at home and you only have a computer, or whether you are working in an industry where you're trying to determine some kind of simulated experience, or whether you want some kind of display mechanism that you want to create. I mean, it can be as small or as large as you want. And what's also exciting is that I think whatever we're doing in Los Angeles is relevant to what anyone else is doing anywhere else in the world. We can begin to share and develop a community in ways that we could never do before. And I think that's what's most exciting about the future, is that we're breaking down these walls, and this isn't necessarily part of some kind of proprietary ownership. This is something where we're reaching across the aisle and saying, let's work together and try to come up with something new and different. And I think that's already happening. I think people are working from wherever they live, from whichever socioeconomic background they come from, whatever gender, race, anything. It's broken. It's beginning to break all of those walls down.
That is a wonderfully, beautifully said. Well said.
Connie, thank you so much. It's been wonderful to get to know you. I'm super excited about what Epic is doing. I think I knew all of the things individually, but I didn't see it as a whole, and you've really helped share that. So
wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Thank you. It was very nice to be a part of it.
All right.
Everyone.
Yay.
Next up, we are moving back to the auditorium, and we're going to talk about the networking. So we'll let the applause die down. And now, here we go.
Bye.
Bye.